Hey gang, this is Bob. Welcome back to another episode of Pardee Shop Shenanigans. Hey, has it been a while since you've run your table saw? Maybe you've got a bandsaw sitting in the corner, picked up some moisture and the tabletop is rusted, and you don't know what to do? Well, I've heard of a guy that had that very same issue recently moving here to Central Arizona. Stick around, I'll show you what I'm going to do about my tools. Well, I gotta say, middle of November, 68 degrees. It's pretty rough living here in Central Arizona. Let's go in the shop now. Let's see if you've got some of the same challenges with your tools that I'm discovering with mine. So my table saw, I bought this brand new, oh my goodness, clear back in 1992. She's seen a lot of wood go through it, built a wing. My dad built me a wing here for my router that hangs underneath here. So I've got a combination table saw and router table, and I can use my fence when I want to use my router. You can see a little bit of surface rust, and it's dirty. Makes it kind of tough to not mar your wood and your projects when it's dirty like that. I could certainly just wipe it off and it'd be usable, but typically what I'll do with this is I'll clean it up and then put a little carnauba wax on it. Not sure if that's kosher or considered appropriate in woodworking circles, but hey, it's worked for me for close to 30 years. And then I made a big boo-boo. While in the Pacific Northwest, I had not used my bandsaw for quite a while, and it sat near an old chimney in the shop, at the former Shenanigans shop, and had a little drip. Water hit here, splashed out here, and rusted this up. Now, fortunately, it's not really pitted, and it's mostly surface, but obviously, we don't want to run a project past this, right? So what to do? I'll show you what I'm going to do. So the tools of the trade in this instance could be any number of things. If you don't have a grinder that you can put a wire wheel on, or you don't have a drill that you can put a wire wheel on, you can use sandpaper. You could use steel wool, but let's look at the amount of effort and time that will go into this. This is just 80 grit for my oscillating sander. I could certainly do that. You can see it's starting to clean things up. You notice I was going, if you can see these, the mill marks from when this table was made, I went the same direction just so I could hopefully clean down deeper. Now, if I wanted to use steel wool, well, I better have some pretty amazing arms because it would take me a long, long time. Okay. Of course, this is double-aught steel wool, so that doesn't help much. Now, I also have, a lot of folks will have a drill, cordless drill. You can get different wire wheels that go on this. This is part of a kit that came from Harbor Freight. You can get the round ones that go this way, or this just happens to be a quick example. Okay, you see, it's going to clean it up. Actually, not as quickly as this sandpaper would. But because I'm a guy that likes to use bigger tools and make a bigger mess and do things that'll hurt myself more, fully, I like to use my wire wheel. Now, make it a point, if you're going to use a wire wheel like this on a high-speed 4-inch grinder like this, make it a point to wear eye protection. Now, I'm wearing my regular glasses right now. If I was really smart, I would probably put on a face shield, but for where I'm working flat ground like this, don't ever turn it so this is pointing towards your face. Keep it flat, and do exercise some safety. I've had enough of these stuck in my belly over the years that, well, what's another one? Let's see what this looks like. All right, so now Now you might look at this and say, this is not as clean as this. And yeah, if you're looking for a shine factor, but what's nice is when this is spinning fast like this, it's also super smooth. Can you feel the difference from here to here? Well, I can. Why not you? So I'm going to set up, I'm going to work over my table saw tabletop here. We'll come back and take a look in just a little bit. Okay, I think you get the idea. No sense you watching me do all of that, but I want to be careful around my Exacti-Cut here. This is my alignment tool for exactly where my blade's going to cut. This is made out of nylon. I'll probably by hand clean out these slots. I want to be careful. You don't want to grind or take material off and make your miter sloppy in there. And I'm not as concerned about out here these webs, but I will work this space over as well. So I'll come back and show you the finished product on that. But first, let's switch over and take a look at the bandsaw table. Okay, let's see what a difference this is going to make to get this small space all tidied up. Yeah, you move things when you're not careful with the cord. Okay, here we go. Okay, as you can see, that's going to clean up pretty good, and it feels nice and smooth. Again, if you're doing something like this with a high-speed wire, be careful around, you know, your finer surface areas here, because this will actually round it and take material away. So make sure you're on a nice open flat space. You know, if I round some of these corners a little bit on the exterior, I don't mind, but I don't want to round these off or do anything that's going to widen or affect my width of this slot if I ever run a miter gauge through there. And I want to make sure that I don't booger this up so that I can make my fine cuts later. So I'll get these cleaned up. We'll be back and I'll show you whether I had success. Okay, well, here's the finished look, well, almost finished look. I used the grinder, as I told you, on top, and then I used this on the end of my drill to run down through this and clean this all up. Did a pretty nice job, I'd say, for just an old country boy. Now, I like to throw a little wax on these. In this case, it just happens to be, what have I got? Some Meguiar's cleaner wax here. It's just something I had in the shop. I put wax on it not to make it shiny and pretty, but rather to help protect it from moisture. I don't use my tools daily. I don't use them enough to keep the surfaces really clean and made it up nice just based on use. So because of that, if I throw a little bit of paste wax on here like this, and I suppose you could use most anything. I'm sure there's some purists out there that think I'm doing the wrong thing, and that's okay. You know, we all do what works. I've owned this table saw and this bandsaw for close to 30 years now. Done a lot of work on them, but then they've spent a lot of years sitting in between places I live, times in life, things that we have, right? So I like to just try to take care of it, make it last a little bit longer. And this also gives me a nice smooth surface to work from later as well. Now I went ahead and put a coat of wax on the table saw here. I'm going to let that dry up a little bit. And again, this, I'm not showing you this to show you how shiny and pretty it's going to be like it was a car going to SEMA, but rather just to show you that our before and afters, we end up with a nice clean surface, nice smooth surface, a nice no mar surface with no mar jokes. Sorry. So I clean these up, and when I'm ready to use this later, I'll have material that's going to slide across here nice and smooth and easy. It's going to be clean. I'm not going to have any rust or grease or crud from the trailer from the move in here, so that my projects come out a little bit nicer. Now, something I do want to talk about while I'm doing this is tool safety. You know, if you're not used to running a 4-inch grinder, that grinder of mine, that Milwaukee, I think it turns close to 13,000 revolutions a minute. That's getting right with it. And when something's spinning that fast, if you catch an edge with the way it's spinning, you can hurt yourself real quick. And what I'm talking about is to pay attention to the rotation. It's going around this way, right? So on this surface, it's going around this way. This makes a whole lot of sense because it's going to go off this edge. There's nothing to catch because it's on a smooth surface. If, however, I'm going along up here and I get up to this edge, suddenly this is turning this way, and boom, it'll catch and it'll pull you right off the table. I have had this very grinder, I've had this jump out of my hands and chase me around the shop before I could get it unplugged. So trust me when I say it's important to pay attention to what you're doing. Also, when you get in a small surface like this, narrow area, it's hard to go straight. So I'll go like this because, again, it's turning this way. I don't want to get too close to this edge and have it catch and pull me. So just be aware, be careful. If you haven't used tools much, be extra sensitive. If you have used tools a lot, probably need to be even more careful because, well, we do tend to get sloppy, don't we, guys and gals? All right, let's take a quick peek over here at the bandsaw table. What do you think? Think this will work? I think it's going to be just right. Now, I've got some tuning up to do with both saws and some cleaning up to do so I can get into a couple projects that I'm going to share with you in the not so distant future. Well, thanks for joining me here for another afternoon out in the shop. I've got the tabletop from my table saw, the tabletop from a bandsaw, all cleaned up, deboogered up, and waxed to protect them from moisture and have a nice clean surface to work on for some projects up and coming. In fact, have you ever had soggy bottom? I'm talking about drawer bottoms, of course. Going to work on some dresser drawers, do some work that needs to be done here in the coming week or so. Don't mind me as, you know, you look right up my nose. And that's going to do it for today. Remember, go out and make someone smile, because I guarantee you both deserve it. Bob out.